Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, I interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business and then share them with us that we can all learn together. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, in the social media posting, or any of the old, ineffective traditional marketing methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. The link to that will be in the show notes below. But I'm excited on today's show to have Diane Scott. She is the owner of Diane Scott, providing executive coaching and keynote speaking on the best boss effect. So Diane, welcome to the show today. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I always love to ask, which is this: if you were somehow able to go back in time to when you started your very first business, but knowing what you know now, what would you do differently in the first 12 months?
I would be more fearless. I would bet on myself more. Always looking externally for approval or for a boss to have an effect. As I started my own company, there was no boss to tell me I was doing a good job. And so I questioned myself far too often at the beginning. I wish I would have gone all in and been less afraid
Yeah.
and got results quicker.
Yeah. When you say go all in, what does that mean to you? Because I think that represents different things to different people.
Yeah, sure. I was the breadwinner of my family.
Mhm.
So the fear of starting a company, which was not raised to do.
Yeah.
I was raised to go get a paycheck, save money. Something safe, something I was in healthcare, very safe, very normal. But go all in, I would take part-time jobs writing or teaching or do all these periphery things just to make sure I had some sort of income stream when those were really distracting me from the goal.
Yeah.
And I would have done that more. And I tell people, just bet on yourself, um, which is one of the causes of the best boss effect, which we'll get into in a minute, is when you start to believe in yourself more, it really takes off.
Yeah. Yeah. For people, actually, let me back up and maybe preface this a little bit. I think theoretically, we know that, it's like, yeah, I trust myself, I'll bet on myself. But in reality and practice, it's very scary oftentimes. And so what are some key things that you found that has helped you and other people to be able to take that leap of faith, to actually trust yourself in the process, knowing that yes, there still might be challenges, failures along the way, but that long term betting on yourself is actually the best thing to do.
Mm. It's interesting because as an executive coach, I tell people to do this all the time, yet I couldn't eat my own dog food at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so um, when I ask the leaders that I talk about to really, intuitively tell themselves what they have to do, what's really fascinating is, they'll hesitate, and then I'll say, "When's the last time you were wrong?" And almost
Mhm.
every time they say, "Well, there's some shifts here or some shifts there, but I wasn't wrong." And so even just like fact-based, like you're never way off. I mean, we can pick a wrong stock or we can bet on the wrong horse or in last night's game, pick the wrong person that's going to win the game. But as far as what you were doing, uh, where you're after, what your North Star is, you're never wrong. Shifting a pathway is one thing, but data collection on yourself is probably the best thing.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's a really it's very a powerful analogy. I think just hearing you say that, uh, like looking at who's the sports person that's going to win the game, whatever. A lot of that is chance. It's like who knows exactly what's going to happen, but you're not looking at chance. You're looking at how do we take a strategic approach on this. And yes, the pathway may shift, that may change. Matter of fact, it probably will, but you're saying trust yourself in the process because you're not really gambling as
Right.
such. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, exactly. And last I was listening to, there was a big basketball game last night, and team that won was behind until the last 4 seconds. It was like the NBA finals. And I saw an interview with one of the leaders, and I actually wrote down the quote because it was really right. He's like, "Oh, we had a lot of luck in that the other team were missing the shots and everything like that." And one of the commentators, who was a Shaquille O'Neal, who was a famous basketball player in his own right, he said, "You're lucky because you put yourself in a position to be lucky."
Mm.
So if you're successful, it's because you put yourself in a position to be successful. And all you have up until this moment has led you to that. So trust yourself. You know more than you think you do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really powerful.
Mm.
Going through all of that, we all go through challenges in business, and oftentimes we can feel like we're the only ones that ever gone through this particular challenge in life or business, when really it's not, but it can feel that way. And so I like to normalize that, talk about it, and just people listen and go, oh gosh, everyone has challenges. It's normal. Um, Having said that, what's the number one biggest challenge that you face so far in your business? It could be in any area of the business, but what's the number one challenge you face, and what's the lesson you learned from that?
The number one challenge I had in me starting my business, or that I see in my clients.
Your business, and doesn't even necessarily need to be starting. It could be any point in the business. It's just, what was that biggest challenge for you?
Yeah. Is and sometimes it's picking a lane. And yeah, and the other thing is there's a ton of advice out there. I mean, just, wake up in the morning, you're not supposed to look at reels. A lot of us do. And all of a sudden you're getting 20 reels on what to eat, how to exercise, whatever. Try to start a business and you're going to get 20 different opinions on what to do.
Yeah.
Um, Again, trust yourself. But the other thing is nothing is permanent. You can try something, and if it doesn't work, pivot.
Yeah.
You can try one aspect, and if it doesn't garnish results, pivot. But constantly, assess. Okay, this didn't get me the success that I wanted. So, what did I learn, and what should I try? But be very intentional in um, making those pivots. Um, like, I'm going to give this X amount of time, because and almost like expect there to be pivots versus hoping that it goes smoothly. Everybody hears about the
Mhm.
24-year-old who's started a business and now they're a billionaire. That's 1 in 20 billion. Okay. But most of us have to make adjustments along the way. And so kind of expect them. But the problem is, if you don't learn from them, what did I learn from this? And
Yeah.
take a hard look at it. So it's like assessing, but then evaluating the past and saying, maybe I shouldn't have gone to the guy I saw on TikTok, because
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
hasn't done something that they saw on TikTok or a reel, and like, why did I follow somebody's advice?
Yeah. 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 No, I think that's really, really good advice that you're giving on that. I think it's definitely key, because it has truth, but it has flexibility in that truth, which I think is usually the best type of advice that people can give, for sure. Um, when people do pivot, when they begin to kind of move, shift lanes, whatever term suits the person listening,
Mm.
um, do you have any experience, or what you coach your clients in terms of helping with that pivot or shift? Because sometimes it can be, things haven't gone exactly the way you want it to go, and then you pivot, and then you start questioning yourself: is left the right way to pivot? Is right the right way? And then every question becomes a doubt in your head. So how do you stay betting on yourself and staying confident amongst pivoting to reach that North Star?
Yeah. The analysis paralysis can get in your way, overthinking and not just doing.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the key is expecting not everything to go the right way, expecting failure, um, expecting things not to work out. I was not raised to fail. Um, my father was from an immigrant family. You don't fail, you know. I kind of thought that my 50s would be my decade of failure. And halfway through, I realized I hadn't failed that much. Like I had failed in little bits, but not in a big way. So I
Mm.
decided to take bigger chances, and some of them failed, but you know what? Some of them didn't. So it's
Yeah.
almost like getting yourself in a mindset that what you do is, it's not even fail, but it's adjust, fine tune, adjust. You know, you see those people that are mixing music and they're constantly adjusting knobs. You don't even know what the knobs are doing. But you know, like
Mhm.
they're doing a recording of somebody and they're moving this and moving that as their ears pick up things. That's what your career needs to be. It's a constant adjusting and moving. And now with AI, and I coach quite a few leads of AI and companies that are integrating AI into their workforce who isn't. But that's one of the biggest knob turners of all. But shifting the mindset of even what success looks like. Success might be learning. Success might be, oh gosh, it's constant. It's a constant fine tuning. It's never complete. It's really not a destination. Success is not a destination because if you ever notice, you'll say, gosh, I know if I have X amount in my bank account, I'll be happy. Then you get to X and you're like, that X becomes 2X or 3X. It's like, what's enough? You know, but knowing that, you know, you're going to make some shifts and make some tweaks and make some adjustments. It's kind of like that mindset versus complete good, put a bow on it. There is no bow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. Like it's all those iterations. That's what's needed. And most people just aren't willing to go through the iterations enough to be able to unlock that. And it's quite fascinating what you said there as well around thinking once you have X, then you'll be happy. And I actually have something that I kind of coined to call the quantum success collapse process, where it's like, yeah, it sounds all fancy, but it's just like when you have when you see that one goal, it's massive, massive, massive. But as soon as you get it, it collapses into almost nothing because all of a sudden you obtain it. It doesn't give you everything. And now you're the next big goal is there. And it's like every time it's the big goal is there, it just collapses every time you have it and you move on and on and on. It doesn't mean that you can't be happy. It doesn't mean you can't be content in life, but it's that thing doesn't create the
Yeah.
happiness, you
Can I
know?
say a word about goals?
Yeah.
I always laugh when my clients come to me with a set of goals. This is what they're going to achieve from coaching. You know, of course I accept it. You know, it's their coaching. But what's funny is I almost feel like if I do my job well, they will adjust those goals.
Yeah.
And you know, people with a determined set of goals, it's almost anticlimactic when you reach them or when you get there, you're like, oh, why was this so darn important? It's kind of
Yeah.
like horizons, you know, the journeys, the experiences, and really like thinking about it. Yes, you might call them goals, but kind of expect to move them
Mm,
because your
yeah.
job is to change and grow. Your job isn't to reach success. Here's a trophy.
Yeah.
Um, you know,
Yeah.
it's funny because even last night when people were winning, they're like, okay, we won this game, but we have to think about the next. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and then
Yeah.
when they win the championship, they're going to be like, okay, I can't wait for next year. It's like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
but I
always
love
that
your
next
theory. That
thing.
was pretty good. Yeah, yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's yeah, I love your perspective on it as well. Well, over talking about goals,
Mhm.
over the next couple of years, what would you like to achieve? Not necessarily hard goals if you don't have any of those, but I know what's the direction you're going? What would you like to see?
Um, you know, having a very successful coaching practice over the last 23 years, and really, I mean, I have very large clients with very fun, exciting names. Um, I've learned a lot about what makes people can call a former boss their best boss. And it was really those bosses that helped them grow and develop. And they didn't see their people as resources to leverage. They saw their people as the point of their leadership. People were the outcome. Work on my people, I'll get the outcomes.
Hmm.
And so when people talked about like let me ask you, who was the best boss you ever had? The interviewer comes the interviewee. Who's the
Yeah,
best
no,
boss you
well,
ever
it's
had?
it's very true. It's the ones that I felt were investing in me, and I felt like they were almost willing to see my success first before their own.
Oh yeah. And though, don't get me wrong, they're pretty selfish. They get success from you,
Oh yeah,
but they get it. It's how they get it. They get
yeah,
it by making you great. And
yeah.
I researched and surveyed this for the past 3 or 4 years and really discovered that if people look at leadership, and even with the AI age where the output is no longer valuable because we're going to have machines to do that, outcomes are more valuable. The only way to do that is through people. So my goal would be to have people understand that leadership, there's a different way to lead, and anybody can learn to make that pivot and make that shift.
Mhm.
Um, I'm finishing writing a book. I just did a TEDx talk in April. Very hard thing to do, by the way. I just did a TEDx talk on the best boss effect. And so my next few years are going to really be spreading um, the idea of how to become a best boss, the effects of the best boss, the effects in the AI world of the best boss. So
That's
it's
cool.
pretty exciting. And the idea is to have a greater impact on people I may never meet.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, for people that are looking to get in touch with you or learn more about what you're doing with that, Diana, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
On Scott Inc, inc.com, or dianescottinc.com is my website. And take a look, or through LinkedIn. Thank you. I'm Diane Scott
Yeah.
PCC. I'm easy to find. So
Amazing, amazing. Well, I definitely recommend everyone checking Diane out on those links there. And Diane, thank you so much for being on the show, sharing some great wisdom and from the years of experience you've had in business. So thank you very much for that. And as a reminder to everyone listening, the show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects that doesn't rely on any of the old, ineffective, traditional marketing methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. The link to that is in the show notes below. But until next episode, stay inspired.